live. Alright, going live on my YouTube show right now, Friday Night Vigil. Link is in the bio. Click the link in the bio. Link is in the bio, guys. What's going on, Lionel? I see you. Friday evening is not too bad. About to go live on the YouTube. Make sure you click the link in my bio to get involved. Today we're talking about pretty privilege. We're talking about whether good-looking people experience the world differently, whether there is such thing as a good-looking person. All right. Okay. Let's go. Friday Night Vigil time. All right, we're getting ready now. It's time for Friday Night Vigil. Let's go. Today we're talking about good-looking people. If I do say so myself, I'd say I understand it. I get it. But we're going to get into it really soon. I want to hear from you guys. Shout out to everybody going live right now with me on YouTube. Okay, are you guys ready? Let's get started, man. Let's just get into it. Let's just really go where we need to go.
Yeah. Is it alright if we kick back? Yeah. Is it alright if we lay back? Tell me if you got time, we can take that, lay back. Or we can take two, spend more time while we're exchanging truth. I know there ain't time, I know it don't exist. Can we exist in sync, be mature and resist? Nah, really sweetie, I only speak truth. They call me Miss more time cause it's true. I miss the old days, I miss the old me. I miss not missing anything, that's the key. Let it all flow, let it all fly. Don't follow fashion, follow your passions inside. Sing it, girl, yeah.
Sometimes I feel lost in this mission called life. Yeah. And I know sometimes I ain't living right, but it's alright. It's alright. Sometimes I've gotta lay back. Sometimes I've gotta lay back. Sometimes I've gotta lay.
Some days I gotta lay back, kick back and sit back with my hair all back. And I don't care if it's nappy plaits. I'm a nappy queen, damn bad, real bad. Nubian queen, this Nubian sings la 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 all day with my king. But we still find time to hunt in the forest, clothed in nothing but at least dishonest. Who can say that? They vow to be true. This is real, being real's what we do. I do this even when it's ugly. And yeah, sometimes it's ugly, sometimes I'm weird. Sometimes I wanna shut it out and not care. And sometimes I wanna disappear. And sometimes I wish I could appear on a cloud. And sometimes I wish
make
I
sure
went
you're
around
on
and
the
yo,
Sometimes I feel lost in this mission called life.
Getting started. We're just getting started.
Yeah. And I know sometimes I ain't living right, but it's alright. It's alright. Sometimes I've gotta lay back. Sometimes I've gotta lay back. Sometimes I've gotta lay back.
And on that note, we are back. It is Friday Night Vigil one more time. I'm back doing what I've been trying to do these past few weeks. Try and build a vibe, try and build a nice little community, a nice little late night show. We can get to talking about issues. We can get, be entertained. We can have conversation with one another. And at the same time, meet other people as well. It's a very interesting approach that I'm trying to take. Whether or not it ever works out in the end, that's something I don't know. I'm trusting the journey. I'm trying to be consistent, trying to make sure I turn the camera on, I turn the lights on, I turn the mic on. As far as I do that, I'm going to just keep going. Shout out to everybody who is watching on Instagram. Please make sure you head over to the YouTube show. That's where you're going to be able to watch the show properly. That's where you see all the graphics and the nice whatever that I'm trying to do. And also the calls as well. All the calls are going to be shown on YouTube. So if you do want to call in, join the YouTube show right now. The link is in my bio. Go to my bio, click the YouTube link there. You can start watching the show on YouTube. When you're in the YouTube chat, you'll also see a link at the top. When we start taking calls later on in the show, that's the link to click when you want to call into the show. Okay, so I don't think there's. I mean, okay. Before we get into it, I'm drinking Irakura Irishi. I introduced you guys to it last week. Um, to be honest, it's mostly for the vibe. It's mostly for the vibe. Lord knows I need to drink more water, but this drink is a vibe. It's bright blue. You know what I'm saying? I feel good when I'm sipping on it. And that's why I'm back drinking it again this week. Shout out to all the people still joining on the Instagram. Please go click the link in my bio and head over to the YouTube real quick. That's where the show's properly taking place. I've got a nice setup for you guys. I've got some stuff planned. Please do head over there. We're going to be talking about pretty privilege. We're going to be talking, and not even just pretty, because that's often used for women. We're talking about men and women who are good looking. First of all, can you actually say there is such thing as a good looking? And then second of all, can we come to some kind of agreement or realization that how you look determines how you experience this world, how you experience life? I've got a reason for believing what I believe. Um, Other people are gonna disagree. I understand that, and that's fine. Uh, I'm drinking a mocktail. It's a brand called Irakura. Um, you can go check them out, Irakura London on Instagram. Um, this is a non-alcoholic cocktail, tropical fruit soaked in curacao and 0% vodka. All right. Shout out to people still just getting acquainted with the YouTube. Yeah, guys, get yourself set up. Make sure you're in the chat saying hello to people. And I'll introduce why I want to talk about what I want to talk about. So this actually kicked off on the podcast I do with Fumbi Omotayo. As some of you may be aware, I do a podcast called The Boys Quarter Podcast. I'll play you a clip from it later on in the show. Now, on this podcast with Fumbi, we got into a discussion about whether anybody's actually good looking. We had a fundamental disagreement in the sense that he said nobody's ugly. Fumbi said nobody is ugly. And I disagree partly. I do believe that nobody is ugly to everybody. I believe that some people, no matter how ugly they seem to you, someone will find some beauty in them. And I just think that's a statistical chance. It's just so likely in a world with 7 billion people that you will find somebody who thinks you are beautiful. However, I think on an objective, like across the board kind of way, there are some people who are good looking and some people who are ugly. Now, this is a tough thing for a lot of people to swallow because everybody wants to be in the good looking category. Nobody wants to think of themselves as ugly, but at the same time, we all think someone is ugly. Even if you don't want to say it and you're training your mouth, you're training your mind, I respect that. But let's not lie about it. There's some people who you think are attractive, they're beautiful, you think they're good looking, and there's some people who you do not think are so. And yes, you have something you say like someone will, or they're beautiful to somebody, or beauty's in the eye of the beholder, or whatever it is. But really, that's just your pleasant way of saying I don't think that person is attractive. And that's fine because somebody thinks you're not attractive. Right? That's just the world. When we got to the point where we couldn't just say somebody's not attractive, is the point we all started lying to ourselves. We need to just be able to say that. Now, I'm not advocating to just walk around and call people ugly. No, that's just mean and hurtful. Why would you do that? But what I am saying is, at some point, we all have to start coming to terms with the fact that not everybody is going to be widely accepted as good looking. Is that so controversial? Is that really the craziest thing we have to hear today? If you're on the Instagram, head over to the YouTube. Just a quick reminder, head over to the YouTube if you're on Instagram right now. The YouTube is where the show's properly taking place. This is just to alert you to the fact that this is what we're discussing over on YouTube. Head over to the YouTube by going to my profile. You can go click my image or wherever you see it. Go to olathecomedian on Instagram. Click the YouTube link in my profile. It will take you to the show. So guys, if you're in the show, if you're on the YouTube, say something in the chat just so that we can take a quick roll call. All right. So, guys, I think we really lost our way when we started trying to decide that nobody can be held in the sort of average looking or less than average looking category. If everybody's in the top category, that category does not make sense. There's no point in having a category. The point I tried to make to Fumbi was that there are some objective realms in which we say somebody is good looking and not good looking, right? Like, for example, a model is paid for their face because a brand understands by putting this person's face next to my product, their face adds value to my product. Someone looks at their face because that person's good looking. They look at the product and say, I want to be associated with that, so I want the product. It's the very simple concept behind all the models that they use for all the advertising. Apart from, let me not say all of them, because they do use some people based on their talent, right? So it might not be because they're good looking, but because they just won an Olympic gold medal. They will get an endorsement deal. But you are going, I am attracted to that person's attainment, to their achievement, and I'm associating it with the product. Now, for the average model who we don't know their name, we don't know what they do, but they get a chance to work and do adverts, that person is being chosen because that company is banking on most people finding their face attractive if they're using their face to sell it. And in the case of some car companies, for example, it might be the body, where they put the women in the bikinis around the car. They know what they're doing. Nobody's deceiving themselves here. It's most of us in the general public deceiving ourselves, trying to say that everybody, like nobody can be deemed to be less than absolutely stunning. That makes no sense. And one of the reasons why this distinction is important, because you might be thinking, what's the point of the distinction? Why can't you just let everybody believe they're an absolute stunner? That's fine. Everybody can believe they're an absolute stunner. It doesn't actually hugely affect me that much. But what I will say is, we have to then get round to the point where we accept that some people experience this world differently. Some people's experience of this world is not going to be like yours because they look better than you. Let's not lie about it. This is always like a typical example in TV shows. But let's say every time you got stopped by the police for speeding, you got a ticket. You might be like, that's what happens when you speed. I've learnt my lesson. That's my fault. I take responsibility. The day you're in the car with somebody who is, let's say, good looking, and the police stops them, and they go, oh, I'm so sorry, and the police goes, all right, I'm going to give you a warning. You're going to start looking at what's the difference between me and that person, because they just had a different experience of this exact same scenario, right? Everybody goes into the scenario and goes, do you know what? Fair enough. I was at fault here. I need to get the ticket. Then you see someone else doesn't get it. Then you go, hold on a second. Why did they not get it? So you start looking at the differences between you. And the difference that you settle on, to me, says a lot about where you are, first of all. It says a lot about how you see yourself. It says a lot about how you see the world. And that's fine. But the most interesting part is, we all have many different parameters that we use to explain why the world is different for different people. One of the obvious ones is race. They got special treatment because they're white. I already have a preconceived understanding of the world, that there are privileges handed to white people, and so that's the reason why they experience better treatment. There's also another obvious one, because he is a man. I already have a preconceived notion that the world treats men better than it treats women. And therefore, because he's a man, he had a better outcome. But based on those two alone, right, you may be convinced that that's exactly how the world works, just on these parallels. But I think you'll find, if we're being intellectually honest with ourselves, that there are many different parallels and privileges. So many of them. And so many of them working consistently in partnership with each other. Yes, depending on who you're speaking to, where in the world you are, what time of day it is, what the last thing that happened recently in the news is. So many different things. I didn't know of a narrative against Muslims before 9/11. 9/11 happens, then all of a sudden everybody's got a joke about Muslims and terrorism and so on. That's how much the news can affect the way somebody is seen, right? So I think we can all see that there are many different things. Your religion, your gender, your outlook on life, your political beliefs, all of these things are going to affect the way that you see the world. And it's never even just linear. It's never even just simply a fact that like every single time the white person gets the advantage. It's not true. Sometimes the advantage actually goes to you because you're black. It might not be in a big instance. It may not be in the instance that you want. But there is an instance in which being black is advantageous to you. Right? So privilege is not that straightforward. That's my main point. But one of the most prevalent, like we have scientific data for this. We see it, we know it. And yet we under talk about it, under express it, under discuss it, under acknowledge it is pretty privilege. Again, let me make it clear. I'm not just saying pretty. I know that's often gendered as women, but I am saying just in general, good looking people have privilege in this life. There have been countless studies that show that they are more likely to get the job in a job interview. That shows that they are more likely to make the sale in a sales situation. That shows that they are more likely to be given opportunities or preferential treatment. In the podcast with Fumbi, I made the point of saying that at one point I caught myself, I almost went into a pizza place in New York because the girl behind the counter was hot. And it was only in the moment of reflection that I was like, hold on a second, what am I doing here? This is so stupid. One, I don't need pizza like that. But second of all, what am I expecting to happen even if I go in there? That she's going to just be so impressed that I showed up to buy pizza. Or that I pulled out $100 bill. She's going to be so thrown back. Oh my God, I can't believe this guy has $100 bill. Like, wow. What was going to happen? Nothing. But so clearly I know that I'm not going to walk in and then it's going to be like, well, this is the love of my life and blah, blah, blah. But yet something about the way she looked was almost enough to get me to go in and purchase something. And also in the podcast, I made the point of explaining and expressing how much this exact business model is employed by companies like Abercrombie and Fitch. Why do I say Abercrombie and Fitch? Because I worked at Abercrombie and Fitch. Does this mean I'm good looking? Possibly. Highly likely. We can land on yes for now. Sorry about that with the camera. Yeah, we can just. The camera was like, good looking. I'ma shut down for a second. Let you think about that. But yo, I mean, what else can I say to you? What we know about Abercrombie's business model is that it's hugely contingent upon hiring good-looking people. That's their whole thing. That's what I don't know if this changed since then. They've taken a hell of lawsuits over this hiring practice, but the idea is they send people out into high traffic areas, shopping areas, and they tell them to go look for good looking people. And they talk to them about hiring them to come and work retail. You know it because they've got two topless dudes at the door for young teenage girls to be taking pictures with. And you see those giddy little teenage girls come in to try and look at muscular guys. You see the hot little girls in the short shorts dotted around the store to keep the men sort of somewhat entertained. It's a very strong business model. Obviously, it's highly discriminatory because their version of good looking was very white at one point. Then they started finding other people from other races that kind of have the same kind of look, and that was cool until I think when they got to London, they hired a woman with some kind of disability, and they kept her in the stockroom, and then she ended up suing. But the truth is, they understand a big part of their money comes from the fact that they put on an experience in the store. They check the lighting everywhere. They have strict standards. They play the same music in all the stores around the world, and they give you this vibe. And the big part of their vibe is to surround you with good-looking people. They pay two types of staff on the shop floor. There's actually three. There's visual, and these people go around and make sure things look right. And they also make sure that the smell is right. They spray their fragrance around. They have impact, which is what I was. This is your regular retail job. You're either fixing clothes, you're running in between the stockroom, bringing stuff up as it's running out, or you work in the stockroom. That's impact. There's also cashier. I forgot about cashier. But they have a job called model. And this is just for a good-looking person to stand on a corner. They get given a tagline, and they have to say something like, "Hey, how are you?" The next week, they switch it to, "Hey, how are you?" The next week they switch it to, "Hey, what's up?" And these guys say this for the entirety of their shift. They don't have to fix any clothes. They don't have to arrange anything. They don't have to do anything. Their job is to stand there and say, "Hey, what's up?" to people. Why? Because some teenage girl gets to walk around the store and all these muscle-bound guys are like, "Hey, what's up? How you doing?" And she feels like, they love me here. This place is amazing. I want to spend money. Before she's even got in to pay for anything, she's already been greeted by two topless dudes at the front. She's taking pictures with them. And they give her a Polaroid straight away. She's shaking it. And she's taking in a whole new vibe. And you're telling me that nobody's ugly, that everybody is stunning? Get out of here, man. That company knows what they're doing. That company doesn't do things by accident. I worked there, so I've seen it. Everything is meticulously planned out. It's not by accident. We can all talk about how there are different looks, different standards here and there. And that's to say that there is some nuance to this discussion around good-looking people, pretty privilege, and so on. If you're on Instagram, please do head over to the YouTube. Please go over to YouTube, click the link in my bio. That's where the real show is taking place. So, as I'm saying to you, it's very clear that they know what they're doing. They're very, very realistic. They know that a big part of their sales, driving their sales, is finding good-looking people. And do you know what? Do you know what's even more clever about their business model? Do you know how they find all the good-looking people? They're all aspiring models, actors, actresses, comedians, people who are preparing themselves to be on TV, but haven't got to that point in their career yet, and they need flexible shift work. So they work in Abercrombie and Fitch, like myself. Students as well. Good-looking students from sports teams will end up working at Abercrombie and Fitch. But there are a lot of actors, models, and I know there's models that I still see on Instagram right now that I used to work with in Abercrombie and Fitch. In fact, one brother I used to work with at Abercrombie and Fitch is just about to be in 50 Cent's TV show. Shout out to Eric. So much success, so much love for you, bro. So what I'm saying is, these people are looking at you and going, we think your face and your physique and whatnot can sell products. Now, selling products is not the only marker of being good looking. I'm not pretending that. There are many other markers. There's whether you get into the club for free or not when you're a woman. And you get pulled straight to VIP. There's whether or not, rich men are consistently chasing you and trying to holler you. whether whether people just give you more latitude in general. I caught myself. Yo, I'm telling you straight up right now. I realized it within myself. Before I kind of became more self assured, I knew for a fact that if I really, really, really thought a girl was attractive, the rubbish I would tolerate from her. Oh my goodness. I look back at it now, I'm so ashamed of myself. I'm like, you tolerated this nonsense. Now I'm a bit more self assured. I'm not tolerating it from anybody, whether you're good looking or not. But clearly it had a huge effect because there was a time in which I was taking nonsense in these streets. I was tolerating the absolute madness just simply because the person doing it was good looking. You have to be honest with yourself. How many times have you let someone get away with a madness because you think they're good looking? Let's talk about the standards between how men behave to women and what gets deemed flirtatious and what gets deemed sexual harassment. How many times have you seen those memes or had those discussions about one guy says to a woman, "Hey, what up, sexy?" And she's like, "Ugh, this guy is a pest. He's a bugaboo. I don't feel safe around him. He's giving me rapey vibes." And whatever it is, there's always some like escalation of this to the point where simply because you don't find him attractive, he's now a bad person. Then good looking guy comes and does the exact same thing and you're giggling. Let's not lie about it. Yeah? When you are good looking, you are experiencing the world differently. So if you're still here telling me that nobody's ugly, blah, 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 you're lying to yourself. You're deceiving your generations. It's not me you're deceiving. It's you. I'm not believing that for a second. Here's what I do believe though. I believe that beauty is both objective and subjective. I believe there's a subjective component which you get to decide because you get to decide who it is you're attracted to, who you want to, be with and approach and whatnot. But I believe there is an objective part as well. And I believe that the objective part plays a part across the board, whether you like it or not. Now, there's always variations, there's always exceptions to the rule, but there's some general things. I think if all of us looked at, if somebody had a rash of growths and sores and spots coming out their face, I think we could all look at that and go, that is disgusting to me. And if somebody did say, I think that growth on their face, that seeping pus and blood and whatnot, I think is actually beautiful, we'd go, that person is weird. You might like it, but you are so in the minority because most of us would agree that this thing is ugly. Nobody wants to see a seeping cluster of bumps on your face. So we know that there are some things we don't want to see. I found a really interesting article I want to get into with you guys. Now, this article is from Discover Magazine. The author is let me get the author's name. Razib Khan, right? The article is called "Beauty is Objective and Subjective." Okay, I'm just gonna read some interesting parts to you. So the whole point is, First, you have to reconceptualize variation in beauty not as a spectrum, but as a multi-dimensional space, right? There's different dimensions to being good looking. Some of the dimensions are deeply biological and hardwired, but others are environmental and malleable. The two primary biological dimensions are symmetry and secondary sexual characteristics. So, for example, they've managed to show time and time again that people respond better and find people more attractive when their faces exhibit some form of symmetry, right? The way our bodies are built, so what happens on this side is supposed to tell you what happens on this side. When things are not quite as they are, that tends to register in our minds as a defect, as something is not happening. Tina, look here, I always knew when I was talking about pretty privilege, some people gonna. I want to hear your story of pretty privilege. I want to see how you being somewhat good looking in your own eyes, how has that affected your life? Come over to the YouTube real quick. If you're on the Instagram, please do head over to the YouTube. Secondary sexual characteristics, that can be things like, oh, she's got a big bum. That's supposedly meant to excite something in our minds, or big breasts or something. It makes her look more womanly, right? Then you've got environmental dimensions, right? That's things like hygiene. Like, there's different variances of this, but across the board, most people think that clean is beautiful, right? I'm not talking about white people and their Converses. Yeah, I'm talking about, on the whole, most people look at somebody who has fresh smelling breath and says that person is attractive to me, and somebody who has stale breath is somebody who's not good looking or not attractive. So hygiene is an environmental dimension, but it's there as well. And then you have the dimension of temporally and culturally variant standards of beauty. That's where we often spend most of our time, so that we can detract from all the other things which are there. Because this part is quite subjective, right? So, for example, in some cultures they foot bind, in some cultures they do the neck elongation and all kinds of body modifications. So these are more culturally specific. Now, doing those things doesn't completely negate the fact that being good looking has its part to play across the board. Yes, you can have variations here and there based on, in this part of the world we like this, in that part of the world we like that. But the truth of the matter is, there are different components to being good looking. And we can't ignore the fact that some people who were just blessed with symmetrical faces and certain secondary sexual characteristics, those people are going to experience the world differently from us. Tina, we are not fighting. So they're somewhat pretty in your own eyes. Look here, I'm not about to be on here handing out any free compliments to women as a married man here. I'm divorcing myself from the judgment. I'm not here to tell anybody they're good looking or not good looking. Okay? Don't give me wahala this evening. If you're on the Instagram, please head over to the YouTube. That's where it's popping off. That's where we're having this discussion. Alright, guys. So if you're on the YouTube, please make sure. Shout out to Adedayo Ayodele. I see you in the chat, bro. Alright. True talk. I appreciate that. Okay. So we're gonna take calls on this later. Right? But essentially what we're talking about here is the fact that being good looking is not as subjective as you think. Yes, there is a subjective component to it, but there is an objective component to it. And why is that important? Is because there are privileges handed to people for simply having symmetrical faces. Let's stop pretending. Let's stop pretending about it. Some people are given privileges in this life because their face is symmetrical. If, for example, two women get different treatment at somewhere. One of them is, let's say, dark skin and pretty, and the other one is light skin. They're both black women. One of them is dark skin and pretty, the other one is light skin and average. Or light skin and not good looking. Right? They can both look at each other and feel like the other is going to get the better of this world. The dark-skinned woman could look at the light-skinned woman and be like, this world is always nicer to people with lighter skin. That light-skinned woman can be like, this world is always nicer to prettier women. They can both look at each other and be convinced that the other is experiencing a better life. That's how mad this pretty privilege thing is the fact that it's so under-discovered and under-put into our discussion. Look at how many times people pick politicians simply on how they look. Simply on how they look. I'm not saying everybody does it, But there's enough people for it to garner votes that you need to be somewhat need to look presidential to be a president. Are you people hearing yourselves? Your face looks like the job. Do you understand this? Do you know how much we attribute character and personality to somebody's looks? Up until now, we still believe that ugly people are evil. It's mad. It's mad. Every so often it gets played with a bit, right? So you get a TV show or a movie with a good looking person who's really good looking. But most people, an evil person who's really good looking. Most of the time though, the good person has to be good looking. The evil person has to be ugly. It has to be like Cinderella and then like one evil witch with a wart on her nose. That's how much we've indoctrinated ourselves and give so much privilege to people just simply on how they look. That's why the musical Wicked is so interesting to watch, because it's like you're watching this whole situation, this whole story that you've watched from the part of the pretty white girl. You're now watching it from the wicked witch's perspective. You're understanding her backstory and so on, and then all of a sudden you start rooting for her. I'm simply saying that we have been deceived so many times by appearances, and yet we seem to like just slack off like it doesn't really exist. Shout out to you, Tina. Well done for making it over. Shout out to Hirschpat. I see you. Hirschpat said, as an ugly person, this is true. Boris bucks that trend. There are exceptions, yes. Boris does not look prime ministerial, and for some reason he has got the role. But he's been projecting that from the beginning. He does the whole cheeky chappy thing. I don't know how it works for him. It works for him. But what I am saying to you is, for all the privileges we discuss, we could discuss passport privilege. The fact that you have a different access to the world just based simply on where you were born. You didn't work for it. You were just born in the UK. You got a British passport. Now you get to go into countries like UAE and America without having to think about applying for a visa first. Right? That's a privilege in and of itself. There are privileges around, the language that you speak. One person grew up speaking English. The other person grew up speaking Rosa. That Rosa is gonna get you somewhere in certain places. English is gonna get you somewhere in so many places. That's a privilege. You didn't earn that. So what I'm saying to you is, there are so many different privileges. But this one about how people look, simply just being good looking, is wild how we ignore it. And we don't accept it. Acknowledge it. And I don't know, maybe it's something we're all fine with, because we all think we're good looking. Maybe that's the trick of it all. Maybe we all think it's okay to give good looking people privileges because we all think we're good looking. My sister, you will pay for the club. You will pay for entry. Then you'll realize whether you like it or not. My brother, when she tells you that you're a bugaboo, you'll realize you're not good looking. When you're doing the same thing that your good looking friends are doing with girls, and girls are telling you to shut up and go back home, you'll realize whether you're good looking or not. Adedayo said, the same judgment and prejudice that is placed on how you dress, hoodie versus a suit. This is what I'm saying. There's so many that one you can. It's prejudice, yes. You can go change, right? But most people can't just change their face. And the truth is, the amount to which someone can change their face can affect how they are seen. But some people are just given a face that opens doors, and some people are given a face that closes and deadbolts doors. Shout out to Hushpat who just got his first jab yesterday. I'm sorry to hear you're a little under the weather. I hope you get better soon. Shout out to everybody else who has joined in on the YouTube. Um, I'm gonna take a little break. If you're on Instagram, click the link in my bio to head over to the YouTube right now. I'm gonna take a small intermission, and I'm going to play you a clip from the Boys Quarter podcast. Make sure you check out the Boys Quarter podcast. I'm going to play you the clip. We're going to take a small intermission so that if you want to call in on this subject, whether you come and tell me whether you think that you are good looking, then tell me if you have experienced preferential treatment for being good looking, right? So let's have that discussion and let's talk about it in general. Is anybody ugly in this world? So much to discuss. But first, check out the Boys Quarter podcast.
In Miami.
You saw what? One whoop, bruv.
When Latina Spatarina.
Spatarina.
She said,
Castellina.
hey, she had me. I think it was a setup though, because
bro, there's hella setups though.
her confidence was too much.
Really? She moved to you?
She was all four of us, and she was just like, "Y'all from London? Y'all want us to show us y'all want us to show you how we ride dick out here in Miami?"
Sugar.
Holla, my heart stopped. By the way, yeah, this is the
Sugar.
thing. Yeah, this is when I knew I'm not Devante. I'm more Joe. I ain't Devante, because my spirit said Jesus. Father, Lord, I have sinned. My heart stopped. By the way,
guys, make sure you go check out the Boys Quarter podcast. It's available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all your favorite podcast platforms. It is a dope podcast. It's myself and Fumbi Omatayo. The conversation flows. We touch on many different topics. We just speak from the heart, and it's worth checking out. So I hope you guys will feel the little shout out and go check that out. If you want to watch the videos, you can sign up to my Patreon, patreon.com/olathecomedian. That's where I tend to post the full video of the podcast. If you're happy with just the audio and you're happy being a week behind, then get it on audio. If you want to be up to date and you want to watch videos, sign up to the Patreon real quick. From as little as £3 a month, you start getting the exclusive content. There's bonus episodes. There's other little bits you're going to be getting. So please do make sure that you support a brother on the Patreon. Like I said, we're going to take a little intermission. If you would like to call into the show, now is the time to click the link at the top of the chat on the YouTube. At the top of the YouTube chat, there's a link there. Click that link to call into the show, and we're going to line up some calls. If you guys want to speak on the subject, I want to hear from you. All right, little intermission right here. If you're still on Instagram, head over to the YouTube. We're talking about being good looking, talking about privileges around it. We're talking about so many different things around the lives of good looking people. Okay. If you want to see all the graphics and all the fancy smut stuff I put together, head over to the YouTube right now. Click the link in my bio on my Instagram page. Let's go. Shout out to Chidi Mama. At Chidi Mama. She's the one that said we should discuss this on Friday Night Vigil. So shout out to you, sis. I hope you enjoyed this exploration. Alright, we're taking calls. So if you want to speak on the subject, make sure you click the link at the top of the YouTube chat. Okay, guys. I'm gonna give it a bit more time for you to make your intentions known if you'd like to speak on the subject. Shout out to everybody just joining in at this point. If you do want to speak on the subject, make sure that you go click the link at the top that's pinned at the top of the YouTube chat. Hey. Well, it appears that none of you want to speak on the subject. That's cool. That's actually cool. Maybe I did the topic too much justice. Maybe I smashed it from so many different angles that you can't help but agree with me. Maybe I'm actually getting wiser and wiser and much smarter than I ever thought I was, and I don't actually need to hear anybody else's opinion because I got it all figured out. Maybe. Or maybe it's late and you guys got your hair wrapped up and you're looking a bit wild right now and you don't really want the streets to see how you look at midnight on a Friday. Maybe that's just the situation. Maybe you prefer to watch than to take part. You're a bit more of a voyeur. Maybe. There are many different possibilities here. I'm willing to accept all of them as possibilities. All I am saying though is if there are no calls, then we can wrap this baby up. We don't have to flog a dead horse, right? I thought it was an interesting discussion point. Shout out to Chidi Mama for suggesting it. I see some interesting comments on it in the chat. Tina mentioned that pretty privilege has its negatives. Being pretty can make you appear dumb. And Hirschpat countered very, astutely with the point that, but being a dumb, pretty person can get you further ahead in life than being a smart, ugly person. And that is wild. That is wild behavior. We should all be collectively ashamed of ourselves. Tina says, you of all people need to hear other people's opinions. I don't think so. I think God is trying to show me this evening that I got it all figured out. All right, because I put myself out here consistently to listen to other people's opinions, right? As somebody who, when I form an opinion, I'm fairly strong on my opinion. But I always leave room to be challenged. I always leave room for an intellectual workout to justify why I think what I think and to hear someone else's opinion and to maybe have my own opinion changed. I think that's all part of it. But none of you wanted to call in today, and that's all right. Hey, shout out to my bro Emma. Oh my God, happy belated birthday, bro. Um, if you're on the Instagram still, please make sure you head over to the YouTube real quick. Um, yo, guys, I don't know what else to tell you, man. I think I really just like clocked it. I think I defeated all the bosses. I think even to the point where Tina is on the live and she's not called in to come and tell me how wrong I am. I think I've kind of clocked this whole internet thing, you know. Like when it comes to these opinions, these thoughts, these discussions, I think it's got to the point now that no one's really even testing me like that. I don't beg Tina to step up. Look, yeah, she doesn't need begging to step up. She knows what's good for her. Let her stay in her place. Guys, I want to thank all of you for tuning in. It's been a really good turnout. Shout out to every person who has dropped in from at one bit or the other to get involved in the conversation. Shout out to the people that have joined in on the Instagram and jumped over to the YouTube. As you are here, please make sure that you are subscribed to my channel. Make sure that you are subscribed to my YouTube channel. Go click the link and turn on notifications so in future when I go live, you will get a notification about this. So, and also if you can, like, what do you mean if you can? You definitely can. If you like having these discussions, you enjoy my little setup, you just like the vibe that you like the fact that I'm trying something, the fact that I'm trying to be consistent here, the fact that I'm trying to give you visuals, the fact that I'm trying to give you content, then support by spreading the word. Say, oh, you need to check out Ola's content. Go listen to the Sunday Sermon podcast. There's like 30 episodes there. And there's the live discussions on his Instagram as well after each episode. Or maybe, you can be like, all right, go check out Friday Night Vigil or the Boys Quarter podcast. This guy is putting out content. He's a content machine. I'm trying, guys. I'm trying. Support your boys. Show some love. This is the first time since we've done Friday Night Vigil in which there was 0 calls, and that to me, like before, it was always my fear. Like I didn't want to get like when you do something with audience participation, sometimes you fear the fact that like nobody's gonna step up. But I think I've got to a point now. I'm fairly self-assured. It just means I'm kind of doing something right. I think my opening monologue was astute, sharp. I really enjoyed the article that I referenced when I read it as well. I might have to drop that in the description link for you guys. I'll drop a link in the description box for you guys. But essentially, look, we're almost hitting midnight. The show is going on an hour. I think it's been good. I think it's been a nice, interesting discussion. Guys, I want you all to stay blessed, man. Shout out to people still joining in here on Instagram. You basically missed the show. Don't watch the Sunday sermon on IG to see Tina. Watch it because it's dope content. To be honest, that whole process doing Sunday sermon was live. Friday Night Vigil is a different vibe, but I'm also enjoying it as well. Michael A says, looks fade though. True. And that's why you get the privilege for a certain amount of time. There's a lot of women who get used to the privilege while they're young, and then when they get older, they're surprised that no one's treating them the same way. Shame, if you ask me. There are people who take advantage of their looks, reach middle age, and get caught out. Exactly. So do they really get further in life long term? It depends. If you amass a certain amount of money, influence, and connections, and you use that to secure a husband who makes good money, I'd say yeah, you got ahead. You definitely got ahead because you're gonna enjoy lifestyle. You're gonna enjoy the fruits of what came from being good looking, and you've got the law on your side. If he decides to leave you or upgrade you or cheat on you, then you've got access to funds. In most cases, just simply for having a symmetrical face and an athletic body. or maybe a curvy one, wherever he likes. So yeah, I definitely would say that even if it does taper off at some point, if you use it to secure, if you keep trading it like your time at work, the moment you stop working, they stop paying you. If you that's how you treat your looks, then fine. But if you invest your looks to secure things for the future, you're killing it. You're killing it. Um, a lot of women who secure husbands get dropped in middle age though, and they walk off with the bag. That's what I'm saying. Hashpat told you they get half the cash. Look at Israel Horton. At this point, look here. Anyway, yo, do you know what? Yeah, Tina is not even lying. Drop my cash app. But do you know what's really funny about telling me to drop my cash app, sis? Is that if you just look right here, if you just look at this right here, you see that my cash app's already on the screen, love. You see that my cash app's already on the screen, love. # Ola the comedian. Make sure you hit me up with a little £1 or £2 just to say I appreciate you for doing Friday night vigil, bro. I appreciate your hustle. I appreciate your consistency. And if you want to do it on from £3 a month upwards per month, then you can just hit the Patreon right here. Patreon.com/Ola the comedian. Michael A says the cash isn't always worth it though. I feel you, bro. I feel you. If you come with something else, if you come with not just looks, you actually have some substance behind you, and you're actually agreeable, and you actually work on having a decent marriage, you have God in your life, then yeah, you can use it to keep parlaying more and more for yourself, right? If you say, look, I have looks and that's enough, yeah, you'll get a rude awakening. Most people will. Israel Horton left the woman who was riding the bus with him for the girl from 3LW. Do you know what? Yeah, we need to get rid of this narrative. Some women, they ride the bus with you, and then there comes a point where the bus line ends. We reach a stop. Everybody has to get off at some point. And she collected her bag. I'm not saying it's right, but I'm just saying that's the way it works. And maybe she was only good for the bus. Now, my guy's ready to jump in the Wraith. You need a Wraith wife. Look here, and this is just an off-topic word of caution to women. If you're with a guy who's doing things, yeah, and you genuinely think that it's just enough for him to grow and excel, but you don't have to work on anything, don't be surprised. You will still be telling people stories about how you rode the bus with him, and you will still be on the bus. But at some point, he's going to get to a level where he's going to need a wife that's going to meet him at this level. If he used to eat KFC with him, the day that he goes vegan, what can he do with you? What can he do with you? He's going to leave you in KFC. You people need to be growing together. As he's improving, you two are improving. I know a lot of women feel like because they're building their man up, that's it, it's finished. No! You gotta stay sexy. You gotta stay improving yourself. You gotta stay on top of things. You gotta stay needed. You don't try and rest on past laurels that because I did this for you in 88, now you must stick with me. That's how it should be. In terms of, yes, marriage is supposed to be for life, but that's not a reason for you to slack off. Trying to live on past glories and so on. Do you know what? Yeah, that wife, I don't know his own situation in particular, so I don't really want to comment on them specifically, but certain wives need to get left on the bus. Right? When he pick up, what's the one from 3LW? Is it Adrienne? Adrienne. Come on, man. My guy was looking at Adrienne and saying, yeah, this looks like the work I'm putting in. I'm not against growing with a man, like building with a man. I'm saying that's a great thing. But you have to be building. You can't just say that, oh, yeah, you keep going. The guy's getting smarter, making more money, blah, 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 and he's still got the same... Nah, forget it, man. Forget it. Forget it. Life peppers the pretty and the ugly. Oh my goodness. God makes the sun to shine on both the wicked and the righteous. That's true. That's true. Michael, so you're advocating divorce if you want to upgrade. I'm not advocating for divorce if you want to upgrade. But I'm saying I understand it. Because the thing about the protection of marrying somebody is supposed to be that you're supposed to stick together for better, for worse. But that's not a license for you to continuously do worse. Some of them get lazy. Some of them really feel like, oh, because I was with you when you were struggling, now I don't have to do anything. No. What do you mean? What do you mean? If you're entering in good faith, that means that you're going to try and give the person your best. And if they should so decide that now you're no longer giving your best, but you want the best from me, but you don't want to give me your best, so I'm going to go elsewhere. I'm going to get me a wife who's on the same wavelength with me. Wait there and be saying it's not right. It's not right, but it's okay. You're gonna make it anyway. Close the door behind. You leave your key. The girl with the big battery will be right over here. Yo, I'm messing. Small, but I hope you get the point I was trying to make. Don't go and divorce just because you feel like you're up right now. Don't divorce your wife because you're up right now. Yeah, okay? Just let me make that clear. But some of y'all belligerent. Don't try and just trap a young basketball player in high school and then become a liability in his life for the rest of his life. Don't do that either. All right, guys, we need some more good faith discussions and good faith interactions between ourselves. We need to start showing a bit more love and appreciation and respect to one another. That's the actual real point. Okay. Guys, I was even trying to wrap up. You guys dragged me to a whole other discussion. Shout out to everybody still in the chat. So yeah, I think we can wrap this up. I'm not backtracking. I didn't just advocate or willy-nilly going for divorce like that. I'm just saying it's not right. But I get it sometimes. Okay. Guys, shout out to you lot for sticking around, staying up with me to this time. Like I said, make sure you're subscribed. And make sure you click like on I'm going to give you a few seconds right now to click like on the video so you get the engagement. Guys, you haven't clicked like on the video. Close the door behind you, leave your key. I'd rather be alone than unhappy. Yeah. It's not right, but it's okay. I'm gonna make it anyway. Close the door behind. Alright, hopefully you've clicked like at this point. Make sure you're also subscribed to the channel. And guys, I'm gonna wish you have a good night, a fantastic weekend, and hopefully we're gonna catch up in a bit. Right? Alright, I see you lot in the chat real quick. But until then, good night. boom, boom, boom.